Are you thinking of moving to Issaquah, Washington, but you don't know if it's the right place for you? Well, stay tuned. This video, I'm going to go over the 5 cons of living in Issaquah, Washington. What's up, everybody? My name is Tova Williamson. I'm a local real estate agent in the Seattle metro area. So if you are thinking of moving to the Seattle metro area or Issaquah and you're looking to buy a house, give us a call, email, text. We got your back when you're moving to Seattle. Okay, so let's just dive right in. We're talking about Issaquah today. Issaquah is a suburb that is just east of downtown Seattle and downtown Bellevue. It's a really great place, honestly, to live. It's really popular, very family friendly. A lot of people want to move to this area, but as with any place, there are some cons to living here that maybe some people may not know about or think about. So we're going to talk about those. So let's just dive right in. Number 1 con is high cost of living. So Issaquah, because it is a popular place to live, because the schools are rated so highly, a lot of people want to live here. And because of that, the home prices and just general overall cost of living is very high. Median sales for single family home in Issaquah, you're looking at about 1.35 million just for a median kind of like regular house. And then it goes up from there. For condos, you're looking at about $620,000 for median price. So definitely you get a little bit more affordable, I guess you can call it, for condos, but still it's just a high cost of living area. Gas is expensive in Issaquah, groceries are expensive, just everything is expensive. It's just a very popular place. So because of that, it's just more people want to live here. There's not enough houses for everyone. So be prepared for that. If you're moving to the area, be prepared to spend $1 million plus on a home, a single family home. If you're looking even just like $1 million, it's probably going to be a fixer and need some work. If you want something that's like more move-in ready, maybe 2,000 square feet, you're looking at 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So just be prepared for that. Number 2 is traffic. So just where Issaquah sits geographically, it's further away. Most people that live in Issaquah are going to be working in either like Bellevue, maybe Redmond, Microsoft area, or Seattle. So you definitely have to commute to the areas. It's not the best commute either. Let me just pull up a map here. So Issaquah is right here on I-90. You've got Bellevue over here, and then Seattle even further up, Redmond, where there's Microsoft and some other technology companies are there. So no matter where you are in Issaquah, you're going to be having to get on I-90 mostly, unless you're sticking around the Issaquah area. So I-90, you're always going to be having traffic there during rush hour times. I will say I-90 is not as bad as I-5 or 405. I think personally it's seems like bigger lanes, wider. It's just a little bit open of a freeway, I guess, compared to 405 or I-5, which are just like, terrible. So if you have to pick, I feel like I-90 is not quite as bad, but you're still going to be dealing with traffic when you exit the freeway to get into your neighborhood or your home. You've got some of these exits in Issaquah. They're definitely smaller roads, sometimes maybe just like 1 or 2 lanes each way. So they get super backed up, especially during rush hour. And you'll have just like a long line of cars to get to some of these areas. This Issaquah Hobart is pretty notorious for getting backed up during rush hour time. So just be prepared for that. Traffic's not great. It's not too bad, but it's just a part of life living out in Issaquah. There's not a ton of public transportation either. It's pretty car centric. So there are a few park and ride areas where you can park in parking lots kind of along I-90, and then you can take transit into the city if you're going to be commuting. So that's a way to go. But otherwise, it's pretty car centered. You're mostly going to be in your car driving. There is no light rail in Issaquah. Light rail's in Seattle, and it's coming over to the east side to some parts, but Issaquah, it is not at the moment. They're talking about it. It's in the voter phase right now. I think the last I read projected was like 2041 when it would be here. So don't count on light rail anytime in the future. Maybe the next generation will have it, but definitely not here. So you're still going to be dealing with traffic and commuting if you're living in Issaquah and then working in the city. So not a fun thing. There's a lot of strip malls in Issaquah. There's not, it's got everything that you need for living there. And this is like the downtown Issaquah in the back Grand West is actually really cute. It's a really cute downtown area, but outside of this, it's all very strip mall-y with just a lot of the big box stores and things. Not always necessarily bad. I mean, it has everything you need. You've got like your Target and Safeway and whatever else you need. But there's just it's not a ton of nightlife or excitement going on necessarily. It's kind of a sleepier town, which again is not always bad. Some people are like, hey, I'm all about the family. I don't want the nightlife. This sounds great. So if you're looking for that, definitely fits the bill. But if you're younger, maybe you want to do the nightlife, go out, go to bars, do that. It's not the most like hoppin' place to be. You're going to have to go on to either like Bellevue, Kirkland, or Seattle for that. So just something to consider. Again, not always a con. It's actually really quaint and charming, like the downtown, but it's like the same kind of restaurants. Like over time, I just feel like you're going to get tired of it and going to need to venture out if you want to go to different new restaurants or do any other kind of like bigger activities like sports or concerts or anything like that. It's going to be Bellevue, Seattle for those things. So can get a little bit sleepy. Again, not always a con. Some people like that, but just be prepared for that if you're looking for a more extreme kind of like vivacious nightlife. Issaquah is not really the place for that. Number 4 con is the weather. Just like we live in the Pacific Northwest, it's like any other area around here. We get a lot of rain and gloomy, cloudy days. I mean, you can even see this picture. There's a lot of clouds in there. So it's just a fact of life here, pretty much from maybe October, November to June. Sometimes we get a lot of like bad weather, rain, cloud, gloom. It's just the way it is. You got to get used to it. So just be prepared, especially people that are moving here maybe from some warmer climates or sunnier weather. I think it can be a big shock for people to, you hear about it. We get this bad rap for rain over here, but then people are here and it's like you're getting into January, February. It's still just gray and cold and gloomy. And you're like, when is spring going to be here? You get these little peaks. Like this weekend right now, it's March. We're getting a beautiful weekend. It's going to be like 60 degrees. It's amazing. Everybody's in such a good mood when it's sunny out, but then like the next day it's going to be 50 and rainy again. So it's just something to mentally prepare yourself for. If you're getting really bummed out in the winter time, definitely try to plan a vacation to a warm weather place, probably in like January, February, March. That's kind of when it starts just like really wearing on you after a while. You're like, oh my gosh, please, I need some sun. So budget for that, plan for that. If you're moving here and you're going to buy a $1.5 million house, I'm sure you're planning on having a couple vacations in your budget too. So definitely have one of those vacations in the February, March, colder weather times to go to a warm weather place because you're going to need some sunshine after a while. So number 5 con is something, it's kind of like, I feel like not everybody thinks about it. It's really not even that big of an issue, honestly, but it is. So Issaquah area is in kind of a moderate wildfire risk area. Again, it's moderate. It's not that bad. They've been lucky all these years, haven't really had anything. But when you compare it to other cities in the area, like Seattle, Bellevue, which are like relatively low wildfire risk, Issaquah is a little bit higher just because of its proximity to the forest and the mountains. It sits kind of right at the base. Let me pull up this map again. Right before Snoqualmie Mountains, and you can see just all this green. I mean, that's one thing that people love about living in Issaquah is you're so close to the mountains, you're so close to hiking trails and greenery and all of that. But with that, if we get some dry weather, not a lot of rain, I mean, it is closer to the mountains, and so it does get a rating of a moderate wildfire risk. Again, it hasn't really been an issue. I mean, we do get wildfires further out in the mountains, and we'll get some of that smoke in the summer times, sometimes just depending on where the fires are and the way the winds are blowing, but just something to kind of like keep in the back of your mind. I know some people are moving from California or some other areas where wildfires are kind of a big deal. So you may reconsider that about Issaquah because it is in that moderate risk category. One other just like side note to add about Issaquah, I see it as a con because I don't like snow, but when we do get snow in the area, which is very rare, it seems like Issaquah gets maybe a little bit more than some of the other areas like Seattle, Bellevue, just because they are a little closer to those mountains. There'll be times where it's like snowing a little bit, not really sticking in Seattle. And as you drive out to Issaquah, it's like, oh, it's sticking out here. It's like a little more extreme. Again, it's not like crazy where like Issaquah is going to have like 2 feet of snow and it's going to be like no snow anywhere else, but it does seem to accumulate just a little bit more out here. So just something to be prepared for too. Again, we get snow maybe once a year, if it's any accumulation. So not really something you're going to have to worry about, but it does happen, and it is a little bit more in Issaquah, which sometimes can be exciting, especially if it's just once a year. It's like kind of makes it a little more fun. So those are some of the top 5 cons of living in Issaquah. Again, there's still not even that bad of things, honestly. Most of those things like traffic and high cost of living, you're going to deal with in a lot of other like major cities too. So just something to think about. Overall, Issaquah is a great place to live. People love living here. They deal with some of these cons. And if you're thinking about moving to Issaquah or anywhere else in Seattle, give us a call.